And we are going to be talking about her book, It Happened at Christmas. So Christen, hold up your book for us. Yes. It Happened at Christmas. And we're actually going to be giving away a copy. So if you leave a comment, we'll figure it out by the end. I guess if you leave a comment, then we'll just draw at the end from that.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. So this is our very first, we are starting author spotlights, and Christen is a good friend of mine, and we should talk about this first, my assistant. So pretty much Christen organizes my life. And I wish she lived closer, but she's actually 3 hours away. So sometimes we get to meet up, but just in general, what do you do? Because I know I'm not the only author that you work for. So just explain in general what you do with that.
I just assist authors in their daily life so that they have more time to actually write and do what they're passionate about. And so I do a lot of email managing and blog managing, social media stuff,
podcasts. And pretty much I'll say, Christen, I need you to do this. And she will figure it out. Like, Christen, can you edit my podcast? I don't know how to do that, but I'll figure it out. Christen, can you set up a web store on my website? I don't know how to do that, but I'll figure it out. So that is an awesome thing. Okay, but before you were even my assistant, I know you have been wanting to write fiction for a long time. So just even start from the beginning, like where did you get interested in wanting to write fiction and kind of what happened there?
One of my very first memories of actually writing, I think I was about 6 years old, maybe five or six. But I remember sitting at the kitchen table and my mom helping me write this book in a notebook. I don't really remember what it was about. I remember it had something to do with a dollhouse and the dollhouse. But so I started way back. But I've always loved writing. I've always loved books. Always loved reading. I actually was the child that would get grounded from reading so that I would get my homework done, my schoolwork done. So
you cannot read?
Yeah.
So you cannot read, and that's what you get grounded from.
Right.
I'm just making sure. I just was on the side to make sure we were live, but we are. We're live. Oh, okay, good. Okay, so then when you got older, I know your mom homeschooled you. What was your assignment in high school?
It was actually my senior project was to write a manuscript. Went through a whole curriculum. I think it was called How to Write a Novel. I don't know. That was a way long time ago. But I wrote a whole entire novel over the course of my senior year. And then my computer crashed and ate the entire thing. So
no.
So the whole thing got eaten. And it was one of those stories that I'd been working on for forever. But so I tried to go back and rewrite it and it just wasn't working. And so I finally was just like, it's okay to put it in a drawer and just let it be in a drawer and never try to recreate it. So
oh, that's sad. Okay, one of the comments says, it looks like you're in the same room because you both have similar bookshelves behind you. Yes, we do. We were talking about that. So I'm in my bedroom. I have the camera turned towards the bookshelf because the rest of my room is like my desk with piles of stuff and my nightstand with piles of books. So, and Christen, you're in your office.
I am. I'm in my office.
All right. Yes. And we have both similar tastes in bookshelves behind us.
That's why we work perfect together.
Yes. Okay. So tell me how so you were working on fiction. Did you know like you wanted to write novels? Like this is what you wanted to do with your life?
Yes. I was always that kid that I wanted to be a doctor for a long time, but it was always like, I want to be a doctor and a writer. And then after I kind of got over wanting to be a doctor, it was like, well, I want to be an oceanographer and a writer. Like it was always something and then soon I was just like, no, I just want to write and just be a writer and a mom and a writer. So that's what I'm doing now, but I'm also an assistant as well, which I love doing. So
yeah, when I love you, you're doing it too. Between the Voxer and text messages and emails, like we're pretty much communicating like 20 times a day. or Facebook Messenger, like all the things, the things. I was going to say too, if you have a question for Christen, leave it in the comments and I could read those. The weird thing is I can't see your name. It just says Facebook user. It's just one of the or what was it called? One of the hiccups. That's the right word. The hiccups of this Be Live program.
Hi,
but
hi,
Facebook user. We don't know who you are, but hello. Afterwards, we'll be able to comment and see who you actually are. I'm sure we love you. Okay, so what was your plan? Like I said, then you got married, started having kids. How did you get even into like VA work?
So that started. Let's see, my son is almost 9. So my husband is a police officer. And they don't make a whole lot. And so we were looking for something that I could do from home to kind of supplement his paycheck. And a lot of the girls in his family work from home and they do medical transcriptionist. And that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then after I kind of got into it, I realized this scares me half to death because it just like medical words and I don't spell well anyway. So there was a site that I had been like blog reviewing books for. And I randomly dropped her a line and I was like, hey, so I like your company. I need a job. Want to hire me? And I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks. And I thought, oh, this is it. And then I got an email that said, I am so swamped. Yes, please come work for me. Here, it's your first assignment. So I just kind of got thrown into it and I loved it. And 9 years later, that was 2 months after my second son was born. So yeah, it's been, August will be 9 years total.
And then we started working because that's the company I worked for. I worked with, and then we started working together. And then we kind of molded and pulled off when that company did something different. And here we are. Yeah. Okay. So the Facebook user who we love said, how many people do you VA for?
Including Tricia, I have 6 clients.
We won't ask you who your favorite is because that would just be rude. No, just kidding. She loves them all.
I do. I have great clients.
Yeah. And in addition to just doing stuff for me online, Christen also will travel to conferences with me when we start having them again. We were actually
not stuck at home.
When we're not stuck at home. We actually were in Nashville in February at the Grand Ole Opry, and that was super fun. And so she gets the joy of being there at the hotel with me and my children. So as I'm speaking, she's also making sure she knows where my kids are. So this is the joy of the things you get to experience when you work with me.
Oh, it's so much fun. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
All right. So I know, you have kids. Oh, you could just share how old your kids are because people are saying, yes, mom and VA and writer.
Yes, I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Yeah, who are now homeschooling.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that too. In the middle of everything else.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing VA and you're taking care of the kids and the babies. When were you always continue to write novels during this time, or how did that work?
I wrote a lot when I was a teenager, and then I went to college, and somebody at some point had told me, oh, you need to get life experience before anybody's going to take you serious with this book writing thing, which I don't even know who told me that, but that's horrible advice. And so I didn't write for a while. And then my daughter was probably 1 or 2. I had 2 kids and I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. And it was NaNoWriMo. And I had a buddy who wanted to write too. And so we're like, we're going to do this. And I picked up the novel that my computer ate when I was a senior. I was like, I'm going to do something with this. And I think I got like 25,000 words in before I realized this novel isn't working. I hate every single one of these characters. And what I really wanted to do was this other idea over here, which is the book that I'm trying to get an agent with. It's a dystopian type. It's not really dystopian, but
dystopian type of book.
Yes. Yeah. Far cry from what I actually published.
Yeah.
But so I worked on that one, and so it's been about 9-10 years that I've just really been hitting it hard and really taking it seriously.
Yeah, that's awesome. And someone said, okay, they joined late. What's a VA? A VA is a virtual assistant. So her job during the day is she puts on her cape and manages my life and the lives of 5 other authors doing.
At this point during quarantine, it's in the wee early hours of the morning.
There we go. Yeah, when you're not homeschooling your children.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, she's a virtual assistant and then working on fiction and then taking care of kids and balancing all the things. Okay, yes. So then you mentioned NaNoWriMo. Explain that for those who may not be familiar what NaNoWriMo is.
So NaNoWriMo it's very interesting and kind of neurotic, but it is a month out of the year that writers will set aside. It's November, which is insane for me anyway, because that's when all the anniversaries and birthdays happen. But they commit to writing a book or 50,000 words on a book in 1 month. So it's about 1,667 words a day that you're writing towards your book. And it's a really great community. And that's kind of what it's like, all of these writers from all over the world banding together to all write 50,000 words in 1 month. But yeah, that's what it is. It's crazy and insane. And
yeah. And it's fun because that you have, so if you look at NaNoWriMo, and we could type it in, we'll go in later and fill in what the exact website is in the comments. But you have your little, you keep track of your word count, and everyone's like can see all the stuff, and they have encouragement and community and stuff. So that is a fun thing that writers do. I've never done it because usually I'm on a different book deadline, or I'm launching a book. So I've never actually done it, but I know a lot of people have done it. So that
April is actually Camp NaNoWriMo, which I think it's more laid back as far as like you actually set your goal of what you want to write. But you writers band together and they get into little cabins for the month. And so
good. And then one of the Facebook users asked, that's a lot. How do you balance all of this?
I have no clue. One step at a time.
Yeah. And I know you keep a list of like all the VA stuff. You're like, it's on my list. It's on my list.
Exactly. Pre-quarantine, I would get up and then write, take kids to school, and then I would work while they were in school because all three of them are in public school. And now it's just kind of the days look different.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of early morning work and then working on my husband's days off and just fitting it in when I can.
Yeah. And I think that is the key. Just like trying to find those little pockets of time when you can get stuff done.
Yes.
And I know one of the things that helped you with It Happened at Christmas is you kind of gave yourself a deadline. Because a bookstore will explain that. Explain why you gave yourself a deadline.
So I gave myself a deadline for It Happened at Christmas. Kind of the backstory of how it happened was I was trying to get my dystopian-like novel. I was trying to get it picked up by an agent. I was getting so many bites on it, but then nobody was picking it up. So I knew that it was kind of at that point where I needed to start working on something else. But rejection was really hard, but then I kind of started getting comfortable in it. Like I would just start sending it out and it's cool. I'm rejected. No big deal, whatever. And that wasn't a great place to be. And so I decided that I needed to kind of get some stuff on my resume, my writing resume. And so I was going to write some short stories. There was a magazine publication that did flash fiction. And at the time they were looking for Christmas stories. And I was like, oh, I can do this. This is going to be fun. I can't write flash fiction, obviously, because this is a little bit bigger. So it started out as just flash fiction, and I came up with this idea, and I voxed back and forth with some of my writer buddies. And by the end of the day, I had like this whole story just in my head. And so I started working on it, and I was like, I'm gonna get this done, and I'm gonna publish it. It went from a flash fiction to a short story to a novella to a full-fledged novel. So so I gave myself a deadline year, and then I happened to be in my indie bookstore, which they are amazing. If you're ever in the Fort Smith, Arkansas area, you definitely have to go check out Bookish because they're amazing. But I was in there, and I hadn't been in there a while, and normally, that's kind of where I go and hang out. And so I got to talking with the owner, and she was like, "Oh, you have a book coming out. This is great. Let's put you down for a signing." So I then had a very hard deadline that I had to make, because with indie publishing, I mean, you can't just, it published on Tuesday and I can have books on Wednesday. It takes a couple weeks for the books to get in. So I talked it over with my other writer friend who's also published. She has more experience in the self-publishing realm of things. And we made a deadline of, okay, this is when we have to have everything submitted and everything into Amazon. And so, yeah, it gave me a hard deadline. And by the time that I got to the 115th time of reading through the book, and I hated everybody, I couldn't quit. I couldn't quit because I already had this book signing, and nobody wants to show up to a book signing with no books.
Yeah. Yeah. So how much was actually written by the time you had the book signing on the shelf, on the calendar?
I was almost, but not quite done with the first draft.
Okay. So that's a good.
So I finished the first draft. I probably finished it in March or April, and the book signing, we had talked about it in January, February. So a couple months before I was
finished. That's a quick turnaround to get it out there.
It was quick. It was quick. Yeah. Yeah. I think from the time that I started writing it to the time that I published it, or from the time I got the idea to the time I published it, it was 13 months.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is, okay, so Kristen's like, I'm getting this book, I'm getting it published. All of a sudden this book shows up. Because she's still working for me and doing all this stuff. And I read it. So she sent it to me. When did you send it to me? Around Christmas, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Probably around Christmas. So then then my teen stole the book. I could not find the physical copy. No, you have it. You don't have it anyway, whatever. So I just got it on Kindle, and I read it in March when John and I went on our anniversary trip. It is so adorable. So I want you to tell what the premise is in a minute. But I'm like, I'm so proud of her. I just felt like this mom, and I did nothing. I did not help her one bit on it. It is just adorable. And I loved it. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, John, listen. I was reading out loud to him, or I'd be laughing, sitting there as I'm laying in bed next to him. On our anniversary trip, I'm reading Kristen's book. So I really, really liked it. And I was very proud of you. So just give that overall premise of the story.
The overall premise, it's While You Were Sleeping meets A Little Princess / Cinderella. It's about a girl who is in a boarding school that she works at, and she ends up saving her crush, and then gets mistaken for his girlfriend, and then ends up falling in love with his brother.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
It's really cute. So as a teen, it's YA, so young adult. But I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. And it was a really quick read because it was a fun read. And there's super fun characters. Like the twins are just hilarious. And
by the time that I finished the book, those were the only characters that I liked. I didn't like anything.
It's so funny. Okay, but I have to say, when I'm in the middle of a book, you're like, this is dumb. I hate it. And then you said to the editor, and they're like, oh, I like it. Then I read it over again. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of like this. This is okay. So I think as a writer, you get so into it and into you're just in the middle of it. You're like, I'm tired of these people. But okay, the fun part is, I could picture you in so many things that the girls would do. I'm like, oh, that's something Kristen would do or say. So how much do you feel like, I mean, in your mind, she was a different person, but when I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, Kristen, I could see her saying that or doing that. Do you find yourself in your characters at all?
I didn't write it that way, but I've had my mother-in-law was the same way. She was like, I totally saw you in this, and this is stuff you do. I was like, it is.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend from high school. She read it, and then she texted me. She's like, so how many Easter eggs are in here? Because I was like, what? So apparently I'm more in there. I'm more in there than I thought I was, but yeah.
Because she's just like, she's going to throw on her Star Wars sweat t-shirt and her big old jacket. I don't know. It just totally reminded me of you. It was super fun. She was a super sweet character. I loved her. And then the brother, the whole time you're like, forget your crush, go for the brother. Like I'm talking it was super fun. Okay, so I guess I should look at these questions. Okay, so was it self-published or indie? So you self-published it through Amazon KDP.
I did, but indie publishers or indie bookstores can order it.
Okay.
So if you, I know a lot of people are trying to purchase books through their favorite indie publisher or indie bookstore. So they should be able to
order it through KDP.
I don't, whatever their marketplace is, but yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's I don't think their marketplace is KDP, but my indie publishers were like, oh, it's on our marketplace, so we can order it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I don't even know how that part works, so that's cool.
I checked something on the back end.
Okay, that says indie publishers can order it. Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so another question. 13 months, that's amazing. Just curious, how many edits did you have? How many editors did you have help you with it, and how did you find them?
Official editors
or friends that kind of
I had 2 friends that one helped me with line edits and one helped me with like the plot, that part.
The content.
Yes, content editor. I probably in hindsight, I probably would have hired another editor just to go through it, because we did find mistakes after publication. They're fixed now, or they should be fixed now.
I mean, I think I found maybe a couple typos, but honestly, and I'm really picky. I'm really picky when I read, and usually I find myself like rewriting stuff. And so, I was super impressed. I will say that. And I did find maybe a couple typos, but that was like just very, very minor stuff, which is, I mean, I've had books from my publishers that have come back with typos in them. So usually those happen like in final edits when someone just goes to fix something and they don't fix it right or something like that. So that is totally fine. Okay. So hold up the cover again. So what about cover design? How did you do that?
So cover design. I have very talented friends. I had a friend that really helped me with this. I kind of, bless her. I will say that, bless her. She had to work with me, and I just we had one idea, and then because I really liked script, and then I got bored one day and I jumped on Unsplash and found this photo. You
have a boy and a girl. So it's like a sweater. Yeah, if you can't see very well. Or you go look on Amazon, see.
So I found it, and then I found a font I liked, and I kind of like mock made it up. I was like, this is what I like. And then I really liked the border, which there's a bigger border on like the Kindle version. I really liked that and just kind of threw all of this at her, and she just like made it shine and made it pretty. And she darkened Murphy's skin a little bit, and she put the little sunburst, made it all pretty. So, and fun fact about the cover, my best friend's little sister actually took this photo.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You found that out after you already saw it someplace?
Yes. So I found it on Unsplash, which is the free website that you can.
I've never even heard of Unsplash.
Oh, Unsplash is amazing. You get free stock photos from it. And anyway, so I like downloaded it and like designed it, and then like looked at the author. I was like, oh hey, I know her.
That is so awesome.
So yeah, it's my best friend's little sister. So it just makes it more all the sweet.
Yeah. So do you know the people that she took the photo of? Do they know that they're on the cover of your book?
No.
Did you tell them?
I have, I don't know. She might have.
You need to do that. Like, that'd be awesome.
Well, I told her, I was like, well, for my next one, I'm just going to tell you like the general idea of what I'm thinking. And then you can just have a photo with somebody.
Leave out all the middlemen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. A comment said, spell, is it in Splash? How do you spell it? The Splash thing, the website.
UN Splash.
UN Splash. Okay.
Unsplash.
Unsplash. Okay. UN Splash. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I can put it in I can put a link in the. Okay.
Yeah. She'll go in. Yeah. She's great at this. She'll go in and answer your questions and put the websites and all that stuff. Okay. So fun. Congratulations on your book. I love how you said you have your own deadline. Good advice.
Yes. Well, I'm terrible with my own deadlines. I will not I'm going to get this book done by March. and I will. So actually having the book signing in place is kind of what put the fire under me to get it done.
Yeah, I love that. And you did the book signing?
I did the book signing, and then I had like 3 more.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Okay, so I'm looking over my list of notes. Okay, so you talked about how you got where you got the idea. Oh, and then how did the characters come to you? Because they're super fun and unique characters. So how did the characters come? Don't give away too much of the plot, but
they just popped into my head. I always had that one good girlfriend, and so Emmeline was kind of, encompass, my girlfriend, my one good girlfriend that I have. Floyd and Lloyd, actually, growing up, my dad pastored this small church, and there was 2 twins named Floyd and John, and the stories that they told me were absolutely hilarious. Like of the twin stuff that they pulled, it was great. And so those characters were kind of based off of them. But the rest, I mean, it was just kind of like they were there, and I just
I love it. And I love how they're just really good people. I mean, they're, I think because I have teenagers, and we go to the library, and they try to find books, and I'm like flipping through. I'm like, nope, not this one. Nope, not this one. Nope. And I just don't feel comfortable. There's so many. So why was that important to you to just write? Even there is conflict, because there's conflict and there's issues in the books, but the people are like good people that you would want your teen to be around.
Yes. And I love YA fiction. That's the majority of what I read. And I knew that I really wanted to write YA after I got, my other story out of my head.
Yeah.
That I thought I had to write. And the one thing that really just gets me about YA fiction today is that there's so much, they're not very clean. And so that was really important to me. I really wanted to write a good story, and it can be clean, and it can still be a good story. Yeah. So that was really important to me, is to put a great story out there that is clean, and that you could hand off to your teens and not feel bad about the content in it.
Absolutely. And so the question is, who do you think would be the age group that will enjoy this book? Well, I'm not a teen, and I enjoyed the book. It's like the Princess Diaries or any of those. If you like watching those kind of movies, which, because I have teenagers and preteens. So my girls in my home right now are 10, 12, 15, and then 17-year-old twins. So, they're always trying to find those types of movies. So we're watching that kind of stuff. And so any of those ages, I mean, even the 10 and 12-year-old, there's nothing bad in it. And I think they would enjoy the characters and stuff.
My best friend's 11-year-old son read it and absolutely loved it. So
yeah. So it's, any of those ages, I would not be scared to have my 10-year-old pick it up and read it. And probably because they love you so much that, in fact, they said, who are you interviewing today, Mom? Because I usually do my podcast and everything. I'm like, Christen. They're like, you're Christen? I'm like, yes. So I'm surprised I haven't tried to sneak in here. Last time we were in a video call with Christen, they kept coming in waving at Christen because they love her so much. Okay, so she says, I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on Unsplash, all the dog photos. Do they allow you to use their photos in Canva?
You can use them anywhere. They're free. They're free for download and use. I think they're free for it, because I've actually seen other indie book covers, and I recognize the photos from Unsplash. So a lot of blogs that look for stock photos or like blogs that use articles, they'll get them from Unsplash, because my same friend who her sister did that photo, she's gotten like a email from some company, and she's like, oh, hey, that's my photo.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you can use them anywhere.
Do the photographers get paid for the photos, or do they just upload them? And
I'm not 100% sure. I think like the photographers that have lots of downloads, I think maybe get like some kind of commission, but generally it's just for
Yeah, and you're building your, just like writers build their
Exactly.
credentials and resume and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, really cool. Okay. All right. So because you work with authors, did you think that was helpful when you were launching your own book? So talk a little bit about that. Okay.
So honestly, getting into the VA business, and it was a PR company that I worked for before, just working on the back end of things, knowing how the industry kind of works, I think really helped, because when it came to deciding to publish my own book, I kind of like, it's okay. I know how the industry works. I know how, I can get it out there and I can still get picked up by a publisher, make those sales. I kind of know that, you have to have an editor and you need to make sure that your product is a good product before you put it out there. And I think that just really helped knowing how other authors have done it. I mean, how many books have you've self-published? And so I think
I've self-published. Well, I just threw up 30 over the last week with my stay-home journals on Amazon, which are just journals for kids while they're staying home too.
Which they're amazing. So if anybody has not heard of them or seen them, they really need to go get them for their kids.
I have not. It's so funny because people are buying them. I have not held the physical copy in my hand because Amazon is shipping all books slowly right now. Mm-hmm. So, but they look adorable online.
Which that was an interesting thing too, is the bookstore, they ordered their author copies and they actually got their copies in like 3 days, I think. And it took me like 2 weeks to get it was to the point where my husband told me just to buy a copy of my own book off of Amazon to get it shipped on so that I could hold it in my hands, because like so many people were reading it and so many people, I was like, I don't even have my copy to show anybody yet.
That is awesome.
So
yeah, and so you can, with Kindle Direct Publishing, you can order author copies. It's a discounted price. It's not the same price as you buy from the website, and so all that. And there's different formatting that you need to upload it to Kindle. I mean, there's all those kind of details. I'm sure if anyone has questions, you can go back later and answer them in the thing. But really, once you figure out the system, like anything, it's not that hard. You just figure out the kind of file you need to upload. Again, make sure you have a good product and all that stuff. So, and I know like 20 years ago when people were self-publishing, they'd have to go to a printer, order 10,000 copies of a book that you keep in your garage, which that's not even the case today. And a lot of my friends that are multi-published authors, for different reasons, some because they can write faster than a publisher can put out, or some because they've just found that they could do it themselves easier and they already have an audience and they could just get the books out there. So a lot of my author friends that have been published with publishing houses are self-publishing books. And even myself, I'm like, I could just do this myself and put it out there. And there's some books I'm still going through a publisher with. So I think it's totally a viable option now. So even if you're considering writing, yes, still go to the conferences. I know you've gone to, you went to ACFW.
I did.
Yeah. And so is there any other conferences or things that you recommend?
There is a very small, they call it a writer and reader conference. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it is called the Nimrod Conference. I went to that, and it's just a one-day thing. They bring in speakers, and you can just like a regular conference. It's just one day. It's there on the campus in Tulsa of one of the universities. And that was fun. It was a great boost of going and hanging out with a bunch of people who like to write.
Yeah, that's always fun to have that community. Yeah. Okay, so I know in addition to writing, you're also an avid reader.
Yes.
Because every time we go away and we're in a hotel room, she's over there reading before she goes to sleep and reading this book and reading that book. So what type of books do you like to read, and who are some of your favorite Christian authors?
I pretty much read anything and everything. I love reading. YA is one of my favorites. Love Mary Weber, Sarah Ella, Nadine Brandeis. As far as not YA, I really like a good suspenseful romance. I love Natalie Walters and Dee Henderson. Those are some, and Jamie Jo Wright. Those are some of my favorites right now.
Awesome. And so do you ever like read some of their books and go, ooh, I can do that, or oh, I want to write this kind of book? I mean, do you want to write mysteries or suspense?
I would love to write mystery suspense. I actually do have an idea for a mystery suspense, but it's like the idea. I don't have the story. I don't know if I could do I don't know if I could do like the mystery suspense, but
you can figure it out. You can figure it out.
I could figure it out. I do have an idea for a series. I think it would be fun. So
good. Okay, so it happened at Christmas. Came out this last Christmas. Do you have something else that you're working on now?
I am. I'm working on a story I hope to release late summer. It was supposed to be the beginning of summer, and then it got pushed to middle summer. Now it's the end of summer.
Maybe by Christmas she'll have it out.
Maybe by Christmas. It'll be a summer story, but it'll be out. So, yes. So I'm working on that one now. But yeah, hopefully in the next, I'm not going to say how many months because then I'll freak out that.
Right.
It's like, wait, that's in 2 months.
But is it another YA, young adult?
It is another YA. It is another fun retelling of a romantic comedy. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you talk about the retelling of While You Were Sleeping and The Little Princess and Cinderella. So do you think it's easier kind of just doing that, like a twist on stories that are out there, or?
It can be. And everybody lately has been doing like retellings of the fairy tales, which I love, but rom-coms and like the old movies from like the 1940s and 50s, Judy Garland, Gene Kelly, were my favorites. And so it's kind of my nod, my homage to the movies that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And so.
And I know you like a lot of we watch like The Unsinkable Molly Brown with my grandma, or The King and I mean, those types. And it does. And I think your books definitely have the same type of feel. It's just that sweet, just the good world out there. I don't know how to say it any other way. Good. All right. So I'm looking over. Here we go. Who in your life encourages you to keep writing and to keep going and keep pursuing your dream?
My husband, definitely, for one. Even though after he crunched the numbers, he doesn't understand why.
Yeah.
He's like, you're never going to make any money.
My husband's like, it's still your expensive hobby.
Yes. Maybe they need to start like a husband writer support group.
Yeah, there you go.
My mom definitely, she is not a reader. She's not a writer, and she's been encouraging me from day one. I have a great writer support group, mastermind. So when I'm ready to throw the towel or I hate my characters, they're just like, okay, well, you're insane. And I understand that you feel like this, but keep going.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You need to finish. So
yeah. Did you meet them from like a writer's conference, or how did you connect with them?
Oh, let's see. I met two of them one of them through a writer's conference. One of them, I met her face-to-face at a writer's conference, but we had known each other online. And then one I actually, we were in a homeschool group when we were younger, and then we grew up and kind of grew apart. And then in college, I started hanging out with her brother, and we ended up being closer than me and her brother. And then lost touch. And then she had a baby around the same time I had my second son. And she was like, I kind of want to write a book, but I don't really know how. And so I'm going to pick your brain.
That's awesome.
We've just been inseparable since.
I love that. And see, when I first started writing, I was in a church nursery with a friend, Cindy Coloma. Many of you have read some of her books, but it was just like, oh, she's like, I'm writing a book. I'm like, I want to do that. So it's the same type of thing. I think it's so important to have those people in your life. It's like, yes, keep going, or I love it.
And my kids too. So they've told me that they want to move into a mansion. I said, well, when mommy gets two movie deals and 2 books from the New York Times bestseller. So now they're really pushing me to keep writing, because they're like, mommy, you haven't gotten a book or a movie deal or anything on that newspaper list. So you need to keep writing.
I love how kids are just so like, okay, you're famous now. Your name is on a book. Okay, but tell about going to their school, because that's super fun.
The
author visit.
Yes, the author visit. So I live in a small town, and I got the opportunity to go to the junior high and talk to 600 7th and 8th graders.
That's awesome.
It was super, super fun. At the end of the day, I was just like, I understand now, like when Tricia is talking all day, like your voice hurts. It's like your throat doesn't hurt, you're fine, but your voice just hurts. Like, don't talk to me anymore.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
And you were kind of a superstar being there and being an author.
Yeah.
Which is so fun. Yeah. And so I even know like some of the teachers were like talking like, hey, I can read your book. And so it's pretty fun. It's kind of weird though, even in your own town. It's like, oh, wait, they know me as the author now.
Yes. Well, I was going to parent teacher conferences, and teachers and the principal were stopping me in the hall. Oh, you're the one that wrote the book. I'm like, yeah.
I know. I always feel like, oh no, do I need to like put on real jeans instead of my sweatpants? Yeah. All right. Well, what advice would you have maybe if someone who is wanting to write young adult fiction, what advice would you give them?
Know the genre, read a lot, both Christian and mainstream, and just write what you love and go for it. I think a lot of times you think that you have to have a certain something or you're not good enough, and I just think you should go for it. If it's what you love and which, if it's your dream, then just do it.
Yep. Awesome. Okay. And then if someone maybe has never picked up young adult fiction, what books? Okay. Well, of course, pick up It Happened at Christmas. Hold your book up one more time. Yay. Okay. It Happened at Christmas. And it's also on Kindle Unlimited.
Yes.
Where you read it for free. And then Kindle, how much do you have it on Kindle? Was it
$3.99, I think?
I think, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But what are maybe a couple other titles of a young adult Christian book that they... She's like, where are they? Where are my books?
This is a great one. This is Mary Weber. This is To Best the Boys. It's put out by Thomas Nelson.
She's just pulling off her shelf here.
I am. This is actually the second book in Sarah Ella's. There we go. Sarah Ella's series. This one's great. Her new one, I only have this, but her new one is Coral. It's The Little Mermaid. It's really, really good. And then Nadine Brandy's. She is historical fantasy. She has this one, and then she has another one called Fox, and both of them are really good. So I would recommend those. Those are some really good YA Christian. And if you have teens too that you're trying to find something for them to read, those all three of those girls are amazing writers, and I would write.
Make sure when you're someone said I have all those on my shelf. That's awesome. Make sure when you're done, Christen, to go in and leave the titles and the authors so that they can find it easy. But yeah, and just know that people that have teens at home, it is hard to find really good stuff that you want to put in your child's hands. So that's awesome, and we appreciate you doing that. Keep writing. Okay, so you're going to give us an update by August on your next book.
I hope it's out by August. I hope that there's another book out by August. So.
Okay, yeah, because just homeschooling your 3 children and running my life and the life of 3 other authors as a virtual assistant.
I'm waiting until, they let us leave and go places again. And then I'm going to be like, I'm going to go sit in a hotel. And finish this book.
Yeah, I know. So funny. I've not left the house in literally a month, like not in my car. And our neighbor down the street was having a drive-by birthday party for her 18-year-old son. And it was pouring rain. So we were going to walk, but it's pouring rain. So we drove. This is my extent of the last month. We drove like 12 houses down, dropped off a birthday card, picked up some cupcakes that they had, and drove home. So.
Yeah. My kids, when all this started, I would put them in the car to go do like grocery pickup or whatever, but they've wised up to the fact that we're going to go, but we're never going to get out of the car. So we're just going to stay home.
Yeah. So this is not fun. It's not fun.
No, they're just like, we don't like getting in the car with you, Mom. You don't let us get out.
But while you're home, there's some good books that you can read.
Oh yes. So many books.
Look at all the books. I know.
All of the books.
There we go. That is awesome. Yes, mine. My shelf. This is only one of my many bookshelves in my house.
Yeah, my kids have bookshelves in their rooms too.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
This is awesome. And we'll go back and we'll fill in all the comments of all those links that we talked about. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.